I'm here with Doran Binder. So thank you for coming on about Cristiano Ronaldo and the hydration breaks. And why I wanted to get you on my show in particular was to talk about the commercialization of hydration.
Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. And there's a couple of crazy things in me I've just got to start with. Why do we allow McDonald's and Coca-Cola anywhere near the Olympics and the World Cup? Why are we not reintroducing alcohol then? Why do we not introduce cigarette advertising? If we're allowing these companies that are damaging our health, our children's prospects on this planet, but yet we still allow them to be associated with the Olympics and the World Cup. To me, that sums it all up. They should be banned, just like alcohol and just like cigarettes. No questions asked. To me, it's crystal clear. But here's the problem with our democracies. It's lobbying. And this is the problem. Our democracies are controlled by corporations that are loaded when our countries are becoming poorer, and their influence only becomes stronger. So I find it absolutely baffling that I sit there watching McDonald's advertising boards rolling over when I wouldn't feed it to my dog. We allow companies that poison us to advertise and promote events that are supposed to be built on health and fitness. I find baffling.
It's like almost you read my mind, because that was obviously something I was going to talk about from my experience with having competed on the inside of a Paralympics. And obviously, I think at the time you accept it because it is ever present. Obviously, it's grown throughout the decades of these brands getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And well, what justification does it have? Because there is no alignment between the two. Because ultimately, you've got one that's based on fast food, etc. Ultimately, people have probably seen videos of Coca-Cola, of what it does to cleaning. I would thought any sane person would think twice before putting it into their body.
It goes slightly deeper, James, because in an age of consumerism, we're really encouraged to consume at every opportunity highly addictive processed shite food that's killing us. There's a problem there, because we then start craving things that aren't good for us and should never be encouraged. We should never have been encouraged to drink any of this rubbish or eat any of this rubbish. Now, I'm lucky because I was brought up like that. So to me, this has always been clear cut my whole life. I've been laughed at my whole life. And now it's funny, in my 50s, suddenly I find I've now got a following by accident. And now suddenly people aren't laughing anymore. And you're like, okay, cool. I've been laughed at for 50 years. And now people are like, oh, okay, well, and I really appreciate that. But I think that's part of the problem. You know, the human body confuses thirst and hunger. The brain confuses thirst and hunger. It can't help it. It eats when we're thirsty. But when you throw in highly addictive food, in an age where we're encouraged to consume, whether it's food, gambling, loans, finance, gym membership, nutritionist, leotard, just eat more and then consume more in how you can lose what you just ate that you didn't even need anyway because you weren't even hungry. I think that's the game, and the game is we're more profitable when we're poorly, and so we're encouraged to be poorly. In an age of social media, that we can now, fellow peasants, can help each other with life hacks that I was given information by my grandpa, who's on the wall behind me, mid-70s, and now I've got an opportunity to share everything he taught me and everything he opened my eyes up to that I thought was normal. I thought everybody had that upbringing and everybody had that knowledge. And then you realize, no, you were lucky. And then you think, okay, cool. How do I share that now? Because other people need to hear this. And this is the beautiful thing about social media now. I believe that, you know, hopefully it's one of the positives that we can get positive messages out there and help people who have been manipulated in an age of consumerism. That's how I see it.
Well, that's the dark side of social media, and it's the manipulation of the human psyche, because obviously that's the construct of social media at its root cause is an addiction. Is to keep the person engaged with the platform as long as possible.
Agree. But if we can do that in a healthy way, to give them something of value, to help them with their life, rather than confusing or making them hate people or turning them against something, just helping them develop themselves as human beings and not to get distracted with outside influences and focus on yourself, and here's some information that might help you. That's what I try and do. So basically, it's sharing what I've learned. That's all.
I think your content does it in a constructive way. I think the actual social media as a whole is evolving pretty much every day. It's changed from being, polished to almost go, well, it's gone the other way, where people want authenticity. They want to have the raw truth, and you don't talk of it from your knowledge. Is water isn't a commodity, is literally the substance of life, so everybody should have access to that.
Knowledge comes into it, just having some basic knowledge so that we understand what it is we're buying and why we're buying it. And then it gets us away from manipulation and branding and marketing, like dumb water. When we go back to the World Cup, to have hydration breaks, right, with a sponsor with a TDS of 20, it's just patronizing, because as soon as you understand water and you understand that minerals are electrolytes, to then enforce a hydration break with a water that has no hydration value at all is embarrassing, pathetic, and proves that the whole thing is a scam. Because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it kind of just proves it all, because smart water is water with no minerals. It's only called smart because it's the dumbest thing they could have done with water, which is take a natural water with minerals in it, vapor distill it, remove the minerals, and then add Coca-Cola's magic formula of minerals back in that they just removed in a much lower amount, and then call it smart. I mean, I've done videos about this before. I'm convinced the only reason they came up with the name smart is because somebody thought, this is so dumb, what are we doing? And they went, I know what we'll do, we'll confuse them, we'll call it smart. And I used to buy it, because who wants to be dumb? No one. We all want to be smart, but that's how easy it is to manipulate us. Put the word clever on a bottle, people will buy it because they think it'll make them clever. And that's how simple we are. And then this is something I've learned through, I've done experiment. This is our can now. So we do reusable glass bottles. And we're now the biggest reusers of glass. No single-use glass. I hate single-use glass. It's a bigger offender than plastic. But then I kind of wanted to experiment with the cans. And the cans on TikTok shop, and when it doesn't sell out, so at the moment there's none. But what I wanted to do was put beautiful water in beautiful branding, and then see how people react to it, and how do people suddenly now when people see my can, they smile, they laugh, they hold it, and they're engaged with it, as opposed to the usual offering. Right, that's the usual offering. Which one are people more engaged with? And so that's still good water. I don't like Shepley Spring 400 TDS. I don't like the taste of it, but it's good natural water. But it's not engaging, and that's what we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to accept that. And I want to change things so that actually, no, beautiful water, beautiful branding, understanding what it is, and then valuing it and appreciating it, because only 2.3% of it is drinkable on the planet. And as the planet warms up with a growing population and with the introduction of forever chemicals, PFAS, that are destroying water sources forever, then we need to wake up and understand and be aware. Never mind what's going on in this country with our tap water, which is an absolute disgrace.
Just water in itself could be a conversation for probably, you said hours, but maybe weeks of
Days.
Content and forever. But when I was doing my research before speaking to you, Doran, it got me thinking even deeper, because I was looking at the American market, powered by Powerade.
That's what it's about, isn't it? That's what it's about. That's the name of the game. I've heard as well that apparently during the World Cup, the hydration breaks bring in something like $250 million of extra revenue, advertising revenue that didn't exist before. Yeah. Apparently that's the value of the hydration breaks commercially. $250 million, says it all.
And this is probably why the mass media, well, it's not gone to uproar. Obviously, they've talked about it at length before, during, and after games. But as in, obviously, nothing has changed. But does that put football as we know it at a fork road? Because ultimately, what is known as tradition of playing 90 minutes is going to go possibly out the window, because ultimately there is now this revenue thing.
100%. Now, do you know what's funny? So before the World Cup, I hated the idea of the hydration breaks. I thought it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm a football fan, love football all my life. I live for it, played it, love it, breathe it, love it. But I thought the hydration breaks were going to be a disaster. And then as I've been watching the World Cup, I've grown to like them. And the reason I like them is it kind of changes the game. So a game, so a half 45 minutes of football goes in a direction. But when they've split that now in half, suddenly now it changes that next half of football. You've got no idea what's going to happen. So I've become a fan of it. I'm embarrassed to say it. I quite like the idea because it gives the game another dimension, I think. Plus, it adds a bit more time on at the end. So, and all the action happens at the end. So I must admit, I've gone from hating the idea of hydration breaks. I love it now. I think it's really good. I think the quality of the football, it gives the players a bit of a break as well. They get a breather. They get a bit of a rest. And bang, the next 20 minutes, they've had that 2-3 minute rest that I think as an athlete can make all the difference. Because now you've just had a chance to recover and to regain your breath. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, you've caught me. You caught me off guard, but I think that's probably why, from a neutral perspective, you've seen some of the minnow teams seem to get as an extra. But if it makes the experience more enjoyable for the fan, at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
And I think as human beings, we hate change, right? Anyone says change, we go, forget it. Not having it, boo, not having it, not having it. And that's how I was as well. And then you watch it and you think, hang on a minute, I think this may be a good thing because it's better quality football. I find the ends of the games are more exciting because everyone's had that little break. So I just think human nature is we hate change, but actually human nature should be, we should embrace change because change is everything. And getting out of our comfort zone as an athlete in life, full stop, only does us good. Trying new things, experimenting with is critical. But the chimp inside us hates it. So the chimp paradox. Sorry, from Stephen Peters, Professor Peters.
But the sticking point for you, Doran, still is they could have potentially given the athletes a better source. I'm not disputing that athletes might have got clever.
100%. And this is what's happened, by the way. So with a lot of athletes who, energy drink athletes, I won't name any brands, but what's happened is that I've found out, and other people have found out, that they're not drinking the energy drinks. They use it. I've done videos about this where you've got MotoGP riders pouring water into a Monster can or a Red Bull can. And I think that's shocking behavior because if you're an athlete doing that, shame on you, in my opinion. Because if you are influencing young people who are following you and worshipping you, and if you are manipulating them into thinking that you're drinking something that you're not, then shame on you, in my opinion. Absolute shame on you. Disgraceful behavior. To take the money and to not believe in the product, I think is shameful behavior because I can only do things I believe in. I only want to do things I believe in. Otherwise, I've got no passion for them. I can't pretend it's not going to work. So I think that's shocking when they do that. And that's becoming athletes don't drink crap, right? You're an athlete. Did you used to drink crap? Yeah. Okay.
I won't be dishonest and say no.
Yeah.
I'm 40 now, so information wasn't as readily available as it is today. I'm not disputing what you're saying. I probably expanded my knowledge through education to kind of go, once I got into the higher levels of sport, ultimately that's going to be the difference between winning and losing. People can see why Cristiano Ronaldo is still competing at 41. There's a reason that most able-bodied sportsmen would be finished at 30, if they're lucky, 35. So, and
I think Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo is a perfect example, who were two teammates together, roughly the same age. And you look, and now Wayne, by the way, is looking fantastic in the World Cup. To be fair to him, he looks like he's sorted himself out. It's like he's lost half his body weight. But before the World Cup, you look at those two athletes, and to me, it sums it up. It's the perfect example. Those two, nothing else. Just the picture speaks for itself.
Well, it's treating yourself like a fine-tuned machine.
Correct.
But obviously that's...
But we have got a culture in this country, James. We have a culture. So I've never drunk alcohol in my life. Okay, we have a pub here. I own a pub. It's not open as a pub because it's now the home of Crag Spring Water. I've never drank alcohol in my life. And I can tell you, as a non-drinker of alcohol, it has cost me socially. It's cost me, it's turned me into the person I am because you just get laughed at. You become a joke. And that's another thing that I'm no longer laughed at. Now people don't laugh at me for it. So now people almost like go, wow, okay, cool, I get it. But my whole life, people have laughed at me like, what is wrong with you? You don't drink. People have said it. They don't hide it. They'll say, what's wrong with you? And I go, mate, there's not a lot wrong with me. You're the one holding the flammable, combustible liquid in your hand, about to swallow it. So don't ask me what's wrong with me because I don't drink flammable liquids. And so for me, that's how alcohol has always been. I would never drink anything combustible into my body. I wouldn't conceive of it. Just from a health point of view, it just seems like a really stupid idea. But yet our culture in this country is almost built on it.
Well, it goes a little bit deeper than that. If people looked at it as what it is, it's a depressant. Why would you especially if you've had a bad day, why would you then magnify the problem?
Because we're encouraged to do it, aren't we? And I think it's encouraged. And this is the thing I think about alcohol in our country is it doesn't matter. It's not a class thing. It transcends all classes, working, middle, upper. Everyone's welcome to the party, and we all have a good old booze up, whether you're Boris Johnson or whether you're whoever, and everyone is encouraged. And I just find it really, really sad because again, to me, it all ties into, we're more profitable when we're unhealthy. And I tell you what opened my eyes to that, other than my grandpa, who, I was the first grandson, and he was a health fitness fanatic. I was born in 1972. But very, very close to us here now in Wildboar Clough in the Peak District, the home of Crag Spring Water, there's I won't mention, a massive pharmaceutical company, a global player pharmaceutical company, that asked me to come and do a water tasting a few years ago. 10 of them, senior management, came along and did a water tasting with me. And at the end of it, I said to them, what do you think? And they said, oh, we loved it. We love it. And I went, okay, brilliant. Thank you. They said, you know why we don't hear about this, so don't you? And I went, go on. And they said, because we make more money when people are poorly. And they laughed. And I said, yeah, I know, but you can't be serious. And they went, no, we're deadly serious. And everybody who works for us knows this. And I thought when they told me that, AstraZeneca, right, I'm not going to hide, it was AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca, when they told me this, I thought, I'm going to share this now because you've had the flipping balls to tell me. And if you've had the balls to tell me, I'm going to have the balls to share what you've told me because you work for them. And that's why I've said the name, and that's why I'll happily share the story, because it's absolute manipulation and we have to wake up to it. But unfortunately, we just get distracted with hating each other over stupid flipping things. So rather than working together and helping each other, we're just too busy fighting over rubbish. And it's so sad, but it is the way it is, isn't it?
So is that why, from a water perspective, that you want to give people that information to be able to go out, try different products, find what they like? I was lucky with growing up on the continent that and my parents been in the military, that you had different waters from different countries to and I think it was a health change that my mom made, and this is the shift that you were talking about. But that shift in my family, I generally don't drink soft drinks that well. And obviously the elder people in my family kind of going, well, why would you drink water? So this is a conversation I had with my aunt yesterday about why would you pay for bottled water when tap water is
Brilliant.
just
Right, let me
as
get
good?
on to this one now. And then we get onto this one. So there's a few really important things there. Number one, you're never falling in love with tap water. It's impossible. I've never met anybody that loves their tap water. No. People might tolerate it, they might filter it, but you're not loving it. You're never falling in love with it. And my argument is water makes sense when you fall in love. So if you're not falling in love with it, if you view what comes out of the tap the same as natural mineral or spring water, then that's the problem. And that's how we've been conditioned to think. And so there's a few things from a health point of view. We can live for 3 weeks without eating food, 3 days without drinking water, and 3 minutes without breathing air. To me, that sums up our relationship with those three substances and how we should be using them and how we should be controlling them. And understanding our physiological past, how we evolved as a species, how the human brain works. It's completely paranoid, that just wants to ensure survival. That's all the brain wants to do. The brain just thinks about worst case scenarios and wants to ensure our survival. That's its job. But the brain doesn't understand that there is no shortage of food anymore, and we're not roaming the savannas like we were for thousands of years, stumbling across a berry tree, and then we think, well, I don't know, look at those berries. If we don't eat them now, all of them, the baboons are going to be here in an hour, and they're going to polish them off. We have to eat all of those berries right now to ensure our survival, which means our body can put on fat very quickly and also lose it very quickly. But because we have no understanding of our physiological history, we now see a chocolate cake and the brain goes, do you know what? There could be a nuclear war tomorrow. Yeah, you're right, there could. There might not be any food tomorrow. Fuck it, we're eating it. We eat it. Why? Because it's addictive, it's sweet, it's sugary, the brain craves it. It's a lethal cocktail combination. And I'm just surprised, actually, every single human isn't obese. I'm surprised we aren't all morbidly obese. With the amount of manipulation and misinformation that we get fed, I think it's a miracle that some of us have gone, no, hang on a minute. This isn't right. It's like we've worked it out ourselves. And I'm lucky again. My grandpa in the background instilled that in me from 1972. He'd wake up every morning. It's 5-minute headstand, sit-ups, press-ups. We walk everywhere. If you're not carrying a piece, whenever I saw my grandpa, if you didn't have a piece of fruit in your hand, you knew the next thing he was going to say to you was, why aren't you eating? You're not eating enough fruit. You're not eating enough fruit. So if ever I saw my grandpa pick up an apple, just pick up an apple and take a bite, and then you'd see your grandpa, which automatically encouraged you to eat healthily just by seeing him, because you knew that he would call you out for it. And now we live in a world where it's almost like I was lucky to have been given that information, and now I've got a means of passing it on to people that weren't so lucky. So I'm going to be honest with you, years ago, because I've been into fitness my whole life, I used to look at overweight people. I used to blame them. Now I don't blame anybody for being overweight. It's pure manipulation, and nobody is at fault. And that's just the journey I've been through of now understanding that actually people don't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance. And that's why it's so lovely to get invited on people who want to encourage healthy living and just understanding that, you know, when you drink beautiful water. So I've been on 1 meal a day for 2.5, 3 years now. I'm 54 years old. I'm in the shape of my life. I'm 6 foot. I'm 90 kilos. I lift weights every day, and I love life. But water, the quality of the water that goes in the body, I don't care what I eat. It's irrelevant. If I don't eat again now for 2 or 3 days, I couldn't care less. In 2 or 3 days, I will feel better. Autophagy kicks in after 16 hours. But if I had tap water, I couldn't do that. There's no way. If you said to me, go on a fast with tap water, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it. It'd actually scare me, the thought of it, because I couldn't drink it. And that's why it's so important, understanding the most important liquid on the planet as well. It's not like we're talking about some random substance. It's water. NASA sends space probes throughout the solar system looking for signs of life, water. And yet we've just been dumbed down because for 125 years we've been chlorinated it. No, it's rubbish. The elites don't drink chlorinated water. I know that. There's a water in my collection called Chateldon 1650. So Chateldon 1650 has been bottled in France at the source since 1650. And since then it's been the water of, or like all natural waters, the elites drink natural waters. That's pretty safe. But what's interesting about Chateldon 1650 is that before it was bottled in clay pots at the source at 1650, it's documented that Roman soldiers would fill their vessels up on the way to battle because they knew that 1,300 TDS water was packed full of sodium and calcium, electrolytes, and they fought better drinking that water. Now, you know, we now live in a world that it's like we've gone backwards in our understanding of these issues. We've just gone backwards, and that's manipulation. So hopefully the fight back is now you, me, and other people who just want to I want people to be healthy and fit and be happy, because at the end of the day, I know people that spend more time and effort on their avatar on a computer game than they do their own bodies. and they take more pride in their avatar than they do their own skin. And I think that's something now that people need to wake up to and understand that this is your body. The better you look after it, the more you invest into it, the happier you'll enjoy your experience on this planet. That's it. Take responsibility, own it. You haven't got a slow flipping thyroid and you haven't got this, that, or the other. We've been encouraged to eat crap food at every opportunity and you're not even hungry. That's the message.
But you mentioned a good point there. You mentioned the Romans and electrolytes. So there's no need for sports drinks then, really, is it? That whole industry
Absolutely
is
right.
Absolutely
right. Water has electrolytes. So as an example, okay, I'll give you some examples here. I've got some examples. We'll go right. So TDS, total dissolved solids, is the measurement of minerals in water. They take a liter of the water, they evaporate it. That is a naturally occurring energy drink. That's my gym water, 3000 TDS. It's packed full of sodium. I can't drink it as a hydration water because it's so salty. But as an exercise water, or if I'm fasting, and sometimes I don't know if you fast, but sometimes when you fast, you kind of crave flavor in your mouth. You just want a flavor, just want a taste. And a little sip of Ishikata, I call it sausage roll water because it reminds me of a sausage roll. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then the brain goes, yeah, cool, thanks. Wasn't hungry. But it's because as well we've been overtrained to eat so much food that we then become like the brain demands feeding because we've conditioned to feed it every 4 hours. And then we carry around little Tupperware boxes for our snacks in between those 3 main meals. And you think, yeah, right. Well, you're on a diet. I am on a diet. Stop flipping eating so much. But that's the world, isn't it? Now I'll go and buy a gym membership now because I'm overweight. I can buy a leotard. I know people that spend money with nutritionists and just stop eating so much. And stop eating stuff with barcodes on it. Eat stuff that grows. No limit. I say to my kids, pick up as much fruit as you want. There's no limit. Fruit all day long. Don't ask, just eat. Eat fruit all day long. Hasn't got a barcode on it, you eat it. It's got a barcode on it, don't eat it. Or try not to eat it. At least read it.
So if I use my girlfriend as an example, obviously with her living out in Spain, she hated that water. Is it because she's not implementing it in a specific context like you were doing for exercise?
Correct. So I don't like it as a hydration water. I can't drink fishy. It's not. It's horrible. It's disgusting. As a health water, as a gym water to replace electrolytes, yeah, that's exactly what it's for. That's the whole purpose of it. So when you get up these super high TDS waters, a lot of them then become health waters. I haven't got Donut MG. I've got a water from Slovenia called Donut MG. It's got 15,000 TDS. Just to give you an idea, seawater is 30 to 40,000 TDS. Donut MG, 15,000 TDS, is a digestive aid because it's got 1,000 milligrams of magnesium per litre. Right? So it's got 1 gram of magnesium for every litre. Now, magnesium is a really good digestive aid, which is why we used to buy milk of magnesia. Magnesium. Right? We don't need to buy milk of magnesia. You just drink Donut flipping MG. Right? That's it. But we've just been conditioned. Go buy things. Go buy treat. No, water's got the answer. So you said it before. We don't need to buy electrolytes. No, of course we don't. We've been scammed. Oh, by the way, Voss, 40 TDS. Hardly any minerals, which is why they've brought out Voss Plus. Because they've realised you taste it. Super low TDS waters with hardly any minerals leave your mouth feeling like Jesus' sandal. Tacky, dry. But young people seem to love them. It's like sharp, crisp, clean. But I find them tacky. And as we get older, it's almost like it's like with wine. I don't drink wine, but I know as people get older, their taste buds mature and they like more heavier flavored wines, as an example, I think. And I think the same thing happens with water. As we mature, we kind of start appreciating other flavors. But when we're younger, and also as well with kids, our taste buds are incredibly sensitive, and this drives me mad. So people try and encourage their children to drink more water by adding a cordial to crap tap, right? And you think, oh my God, right. All we're teaching there is that water is a drink not worthy of being drunk on its own without colouring or without an additive. So when you add cordial to tap water, that's what you've taught your kids, that water can't just be drunk on its own. It needs a colour, needs a taste, right? When you drink natural water, it already has a taste. It already has a flavour, it has a mouthfeel, and that comes from the minerals. And if we're unaware of it, it's very easy to miss it because I missed it my whole life. This is one of the things that drives me mad. I missed water. until I fell into it and bought the Crag. And then I couldn't miss it anymore because it became glaringly obvious. And that's what got me suspicious. Like, hang on, what is going on here? Why have I never heard a conversation around water in my life? And then my life changed talking about water, which is just beautiful.
Is there a difference, Doran, in the minerality between sparkling and still water, or would that depend on the brand?
And it depends on the source. So we need to kind of move away from branding and look at sources, because sources share brands with the white labeling club. But no, generally speaking, there's when we carbonate our still water, so that's our still water. When we carbonate it, the only change is that water loses 2 points of pH. So 7.2 at the source with our still, and then when it's carbonated, it will reduce to 5.2. And that's just what happens when water is carbonated. And that brings me on to another topic. People start talking about alkaline water. I like alkaline water. I've been told alkaline water is the future. And you go, hang on. So we eat and drink and it goes into our gut. What's the pH of our gut? 1.5 to 3. So the whole alkaline thing, and what happens with water is it just goes from one scam to another scam. It's all marketing scams. So with the alkaline scam at the moment, what they try and tell people is that the dreaded can't live in alkaline environments. Okay, cool. Well, neither can the human body, right? So that's a great lot of use in it. So you get like half a story, and then you don't hear the whole story. Think, wow. And it's funny. It's things like, as an example, there's so much misinformation. It's endless. But like arsenic, right? Arsenic and Mountain Valley in America has been a story at the moment. 1 part per billion of arsenic, right, in Mountain Valley water. 1 part per billion. Brown rice has 145 parts per billion, but no one talks about brown rice being a problem in arsenic. You understand the connection? So it's almost like water gets targeted because there's a lack of information. So in the United States of America, 65% of bottled water is vapor distilled purified water, like smart water. They don't drink natural water in the United States of America because they've been conditioned that all their vapor distilled processed waters come in amazing branding and marketing like Gatorade water, and they look incredible. And the natural waters look like that. Now, most Americans are conditioned, hang on a minute, we know what we're buying, and it ain't that. We buy the Gatorade monster. Yeah, and that's what we're conditioned to do. But what I want people to do is to understand what it is they're buying based on knowledge. So now you can pick up a water container, you can read it, and I want people to be able to read containers and go, I know what that's going to taste like because that's high in calcium. I know what that's going to taste like because it's got less than 50 TDS. I know what that's going to taste like because it's really high in sodium. That's how people should be buying water. I know what that's going to. I like that water. I like Evian because it's got 350 TDS, and I love the flavor of Evian. That's why I like Evian. Another thing, when we chill it, we kill it. You chill water, you kill water, and that's because our mouth's at 37 degrees. And if we take a delicate substance like water at 4 degrees Celsius and we put that in our mouth at 37, the overriding sensation is the temperature shock. That's the overriding thing that we will notice and we will pick up on. When you taste water at room temperature, which is closer to our core temperature, then it comes to life. And that's when people start falling in love with it because it becomes more viscous and it becomes, the mouthfeel changes and it just comes to life. I imagine like a wine again as a non-drinker. All you hear is people, wouldn't refrigerate red wine. And I imagine water would be for exactly the same reason. It comes to life at temperature. Okay, what's the TDS of Carrot Glen? Can you read the label and tell?
Yeah, so 650 milligrams.
Okay, it's the highest TDS water in the UK. The highest TDS water is Carrot Glen at 650 TDS. And that water has a taste. At room temperature, it has a taste. Now, at 650 TDS, they might not want you tasting.
I like it.
I don't like it. I'm not a fan, right? Now, when we chill it, no one would notice it. That's why they put it on. The same thing with Catalan. They tell you to chill it. When it's chilled, you don't notice it as much. It doesn't explode like it does at room temperature. So in my opinion, if you want to taste water and fall in love with it, let it warm up. Sometimes I'll take a glass bottle, I leave it in the sun for an hour, let it get a bit of temperature in it. And then it's almost like, the TDS of water, TDS is conductivity, by the way. And conductivity of the water changes with temperature. So as temperature increases, the conductivity of the water changes as well. So I just believe that we have been almost trained and manipulated to ignore the most important liquid on the planet in the interest of Nestle. So Nestle can own more of it than anybody else on the planet, which brings me on to, ladies and gentlemen, please think about who you support. Right? Don't whinge about Nestle and don't whinge about Coca-Cola and then go and buy their products. The easiest way to change these things is to not support them. But we've been trained. We've been trained to think that Coca-Cola's Santa Claus. You know what I mean? We all love Santa. We all love Coca-Cola. And that's the level of manipulation, because Coca-Cola invented flipping Santa Claus. And that's the level of manipulation that we live on, that we live with. And hopefully this is the fight back. People like me and you. So I'm 10 minutes away from Buxton. We are 10 minutes away from Buxton. That's one of the reasons I call out Buxton Water, owned by Nestle, who pump it from the source to the factory 2 miles away. And that the whole point of natural mineral spring water, from a regulation point of view, is that it's the premium of the category and people pay a premium for it. And one of those conditions is that people get to taste it at the source. So when you go to Buxton and you taste water at the source at St Anne's, it comes out warm and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. You take a bottle of Buxton water with you whether you do it, and you tell me, is that the same water?
Scotland is rated as 9 out of 10 for their water.
That was hilarious. That was so funny. Yeah.
The aspect of Highland Spring, Strathclyde, that one changed based on, and I don't know why that was. It just tasted differently, even though it was the same.
Okay, so it comes down. Listen, with plastic, I'm the founder of Crag Spring reusable glass bowls. I did this because I don't like drinking water out of plastic, and I especially don't like drinking water out of single-use glass, because single-use glass is a far bigger offender than plastic, but we don't hear about it because we live in a world of manipulation. The reason it's worse than plastic is because the amount of energy required to create a glass bottle once would be like using a wine glass once, and instead of washing it, we just smash it and recycle it and turn it back into a wine glass. That's what we do with glass bottles. We just don't think about it. So I did think about it, and I thought, I want to do something about it. So now we wash and reuse. We're the biggest reusers of glass bottles, non-dairy in England, and we're doing about 15,000 bottles a week. I'd like to think it's going to change very quickly. I think as people become more aware, and I think as the supermarkets become aware that people are becoming aware, I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that's going to change very quickly. Because, they're in the business of flogging shit, and we're in the business of buying shit. And I reckon once they identify that we now know a little bit more about what it is they're selling. But I'll give you I've got an example here, a brilliant example. When we talk about inconsistency, this is a cracker. You couldn't write this. Absolutely crazy. But this is booths. Don't know if you know booths, but booths are like a Cheshire, Northwest. They're in like all the posh villages of Cheshire, like a supermarket chain, a regional supermarket chain, I call them. And they do a Booth's own natural water, spring water they call it, specially selected by Booths. And when you turn them round, and you look at the analysis of the water, they're completely different. They're different sources. They're miles apart. So this one, TDS 387, this one, TDS 125. This one's sodium, 120 milligrams per litre. This one's sodium, 17. You think, hang on a minute, if you're on a low sodium diet, right, you wouldn't want to drink that one. You want to drink that one. But we have no knowledge. We have no awareness. And it's even written, they tell us what's in it, but we just haven't been told there's anything here worth reading. And that's the narrative. That's the conversation I want to change. I want to make sure that human beings, consumers, can now demand more from their supermarkets when it comes to water, so that you can go, hang on a minute, Aldi are selling Carrick Glen 12 litres for £2.50. Lidl are selling Carrick Glen for 20p cheaper. It's the same flipping water. And this is what's happening now. People are buying the same waters at different prices because there's no knowledge. So people say to me, I love Lidl water. Well, my Lidl water's Castle Spring or Carriglen, can't remember which one it is. But someone messages me, I'm down south, Beardy. My Lidl water's someone else, different source. And you go, oh, right. So, right, ladies and gentlemen, forget Lidl water. Buy by the source. So you know you don't mind Carriglen or you like Carriglen. Right, so next time, if you pick up a bottle of Kirkland water and you read the label, all right, oh, look at this, it's Carriglen. I like this one. But sometimes Kirkland could be Castle Spring. Right, so that's why it's really important that we understand that what it is we're reading. Now, Scottish tap water, I just want to talk to you about Scottish tap water, if I can, for a minute. Scottish water has come out as the #1 place in the UK because there's a few things about Scottish water that are fundamentally different to English water that people need to know about. So, #1, Scottish water is not for profit. There is a misconception in Scotland. People believe that it's free. It isn't free. It's added to their council tax, so it's not free. But any profits are reinvested back into the infrastructure, into the system. In Scotland, they're not allowed to add fluoride to water. It was deemed as mass medication. It was taken to court. The same thing happened in Germany. In Germany, they're not allowed to add fluoride to water. But in England, because we've been neglecting due to austerity NHS dental care, the answer now is to add more fluoride to our tap water to help our teeth. Now, I'm not a fluoride expert. However, there needs to be people need to understand the difference between fluoride, the mineral, which is in soil and waters, and sodium fluoride that's added to tap water. Two completely different things. And fluoride in water is in bananas, in fruit and veg. That is an essential mineral. The fluoride that's added to tap water is not. 40% of our bills in England, 20% goes towards shareholder dividend and shareholder profit. 20% goes towards the infrastructure that they neglected to invest in. So now Ofwat have put our prices up by 20% so we can invest into the infrastructure that they didn't bother investing in because they're too busy fucking milking it. And we're too busy watching celebrities dancing on ice, so we didn't really notice it. And it's only water, isn't it, Beardy? You know what I mean? It's nothing serious. So we've just been dumbed down when it comes to the value and the importance of water. And it's only Ecuador, by the way, only Ecuador on the planet have followed our model of privatizing our water supplies. It was such a fantastic idea. It was such a fantastic model that Ecuador are the only people. Work that one out. Nothing against Ecuador, by the way. Amigo, I love you. Yeah? But let's get real. We're being shafted in this country. We've been milked in this country. We've got leaders, politicians with balls the size of squirrels that are university students that have never built a business, that have never created anything, they've never sacked anybody, they've never stayed up at night wondering how they're going to pay the wages. And the country now is just paying people to sit at home on benefits. That's what we do now. We spend more money on people on benefits than we do in receipt of income tax. And the whole system is broken and wrong. And that's Plato and Socrates predicted this thousands of years ago, that democracy doesn't work because we value the vote of an idiot the same as a professor. And that's the breakdown of the system at the end of the day. And never mind corporate manipulation and lobbying and funding.
Yeah, but
sorry, I do get distracted.
Something that has played on my mind over a number of years and analyzing the marketplace and looking at social media with people saying that, oh, you can garner a following and not have influence. I went, well, that's not true, because ultimately, if you get to a stage of being big, I'll use you, Doran, as an example, and you do it in the wrong way, that is still influence. Well, we're going to get you big, but you won't be an influencer. I was like, well, that's not true, because ultimately, if you get to a position of influence, you do it in the right way, you still influence people, because you are giving a person your opinion, but you're giving them the information to obviously agree with it, go against it, or to come up with a plan C. But ultimately, it still comes back to influence.
So I've got to be honest. I never wanted to be an influencer. I never wanted to get into social media creation. The only reason I've done this is that I got divorced a few years ago, and I've got children I don't see. I took it to court, got laughed out of court, realised, like thousands of dads, that you're now a second-class citizen when you have children, unfortunately, even though the law sees us as equal. But in reality, we're not. And then I had 3 or 4 days after that court case, this was in 2022, where I thought, I've got 4 children who may never see me again, and I may never see them again. How do I make sure that doesn't happen? And I thought, they're on social media. And because they're on social media, I thought maybe if I created content, one day they might flick and see me and remember that that's the only reason I got into this. I didn't think, and that's also the reason why I don't care what anybody says or thinks. I'm not here for likes. I'm not here for follows. I don't care. I do this because it's what I believe in. I want my children to remember that I'm their dad, and hopefully one day they'll see me, and that enabled me to create fearless content because I lost my children. And so because I lost my children, I realized that my worst fear had come true, and it had been my worst fear probably for all of my life. So when it actually happened, I realized, okay, so my worst case scenario has come true, but I'm all right. I am still breathing. I'm still me. I haven't lost me in this madness. If my worst fears come true, I've got nothing to be fearful of anymore. And that's basically what happened to me. And then I realized, okay, so the worst has happened. I've been so scared of the worst for so long. And now it's happened. And what was the point of worrying about all this fear? Because when it actually happens and you face it, and you got to deal with it, or you don't deal with it, depends, fight or flight. But for me, it was crystal clear. I thought, right, okay, I'm going to now create content in a fearless, entertaining manner that hopefully engages people. I can share everything I've learned with people, and hopefully I can give people a bit of added value to their life. And then in return, they might trust me. They might buy my brand, or they might not. But either way, hopefully they're drinking better water and they understand water a little bit better. And that's how I've approached it. I don't care what people think. Half the time I don't read comments. I'm not interested. I just post and ghost. That's it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And also as well, if people do give me abuse, which I do love, by the way, but if it does get out of control, if it does go a little bit too far, I do remind them that I've invited them onto my page. Okay, this is my space. Now, if you want to be in my space, you're more than welcome. I don't care where you're from or what you do what you want. But just wind in the abuse and wind in the hate, because otherwise I will block you. Because it's like, we live in a world of hate, and I've got a message of unity, which is water, and it applies to all of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are, who you get aroused by, irrelevant. It's just water, and we need to know about it. And that's what I do.
Obviously worked, because I'm going to say I followed you more than 6 months, if not longer than that. This is probably where most people fall flat, is the implementation is of, okay, if Beardy's saying this water is good at 39p a bottle, okay, that in comparison to, say, I think San Pellegrino is probably about 4 times that much in Tesco, and they're not the same waters. I'm not disputing that, but as in,
but they're the same category. They are the same category.
Wow, but ultimately, it comes down to choice.
San Pellegrino is no better than the natural water that you're buying from Aldi or Lidl. It's no better. They're the premium category waters, just different presentations. But no one can tell you that San Pellegrino is better than another, because if we swap the word water for cheese, and I say to you, James, what's your favourite cheese? And you go mature cheddar, and I go, oh, I like mild cheddar. It doesn't make mild better than mature. It just means that's what I prefer. But because we've not had any information with water, we're just used to being best. What's the best? How many times a day people say to me, what's the best? What's the best? What are you, some sort of high performance fucking crazy athlete that you need the best to perform? You're a postman, mate. You don't need the best. Anyway, so the best is a category, but we're being conditioned to think that the best is a brand. That's the best car. But what's the best shoes? We could have an argument. What are the best trainers? It doesn't matter what it is you're talking about. When you start breaking it down, whether we're talking about bearings, whether we're talking about, doesn't matter. And when you start breaking things down and nothing is nothing anymore. Nothing is nothing. Everything becomes super complicated and super interesting, and it doesn't matter what it is. You can look at the ring cap. I could do you a whole session on ring caps for cans, right? And you think, what the hell? I'll tell you another example. I'll give you a perfect example. When I first started bottling the water, someone said to me, "Oh, caps! I'm looking for caps, aluminium caps." "Oh yeah, you need an ROPP3 MCA 28mm split ring cap, mate." I went, "I need a what?" You went, "You need an ROPP3 MCA 28mm split ring cap, mate." And I went, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He went, "That's the cap. That's what it's called." I went, "Oh my God, what?" I said, "Well, what capper do I need for that cap?" He said, "Oh, they're really expensive. They're £5.5 each minimum." I'm like, "Oh my God." Right. And that was just a cap. Just a cap. Right? Was no such thing. I could show you 50 different caps that have all got their own unique selling point and benefit. And anyway, nothing is nothing. So I did a water menu last year for Lucky Pot. Okay. It was all over the news. First water menu in the UK for a Michelin Guide restaurant. Right. Why did I do it? I did it because I'm selfish. I did it because I'm sick and tired. I'm a foodie. I love food. I don't go out and eat so much. I cook more than we go out and eat because it's so expensive. But I did it because as a non-drinker, I am sick and tired of every restaurant I've ever walked into in my life. And do you like to see the wine list? And I'd say, no, I wouldn't drink it if you paid me, mate. I couldn't drink it if you paid me. It's disgusting. So, got a wine list? No. And then I'll go, what water do you sell? Oh, still or sparkling? I go, yeah, no, what brand? No idea. They look at you like you're mad if you ask them what brand of water they sell. And then eventually, when you do find out what brand of water they sell, I say to them, can I please have it in a wine glass with no ice and no lemon? And they go, I know. And can I also have it at room temperature? If it's still sparkling, I'll have cold, please. And they look at you like you're flipping nuts. Okay? They look at you like you're nuts. But that's now how we should be ordering water in a restaurant, because a tumbler glass is for children. It's a children's glass, a tumbler glass. You get your sticky old fingerprints all around it, and you're drinking something that is just ridiculous. You put water in a wine glass when you're in a restaurant or at home in the evening, it changes the experience. It elevates water. It puts water where it should be, at the top, showing it respect. And when we show things respect and love, then they come out a different result. They taste different. They feel different, rather than just devaluing things. Devalue, it's just water in it, but it's just water. When we think things are just water, then we just missed it. We missed the quality of it or the differences. But that's how we've been trained to ignore things. Ignore things, but don't ignore celebrities dancing on ice. Watch that.
But I think you raise a good point, Doran, because obviously with me consuming your content, my perspective on it has changed a lot to probably subconsciously to some degree, because I've taken on board information of the Polish water that's in Tesco. You mentioned it's not a water that it's very high in magnesium. I gave it to my mum to try before she went away, and she went, "Oh, this is very metallic." I was like, "No, it's not metallic. It's very high in magnesium, very high in calcium."
Okay, so here's another thing, right? We perceive taste differently, and this comes up all the time. I've got a guy in Spain at the moment, Aspen Valletin, who keeps messaging me. He's one of my followers. He's in Spain at the moment, and he's bought a bottle of Vichy Catalan. And I said to him, mate, right, try it. So he tries it, and he goes, "Oh, I liked it." And I go, "You liked it?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what did it taste like to you?" "Oh, lovely. I love the bubbles. A little bit salty." And I went, "A little bit salty?" And he went, "Yeah." I went, "Mate," I said, "has anyone else in your family tried it?" He goes, "No, I'll get him to try it now." I said, "Please do, and tell me what they think." Well, the responses were wild, right? And then he realized he's got damaged taste buds. And that's what happens to our children, okay? So children's taste buds are incredibly sensitive. So when we give them a glass of chlorinated tap water, it tastes and smells stronger to them than it does to us. But there's no awareness around it, and awareness is everything. It's just so important because it changes our relationship with water, and then when it changes our relationship with it, it then can change your life, because You fall in love with it. And that's what happened to me. I just fell in love with it. I bought a pub, I got divorced, fell in love with my water. I'd always loved water before, but I used to buy Smart Water and Highland Spring, and I didn't know what I was buying or why I was buying. All I knew about bottled water was if I went round to my nana and grandpa's house, and if I had a bottle of water in my hand, my nana would go mad for being flash. You're being flash. There's nothing wrong with tap water. And you go, well, do you know what? Maybe the water they were drinking was better quality before 1989, before privatisation of water. But in my opinion, in Scotland, one of the other differences is they prioritise the quality of the product, as opposed to in England, where we've prioritised the quality of the investment, the investment fund. So they want a 20% return every year on their money. And we have weak leaders that allow this absolute, it's fraud in my opinion. It's proof that we have leaders that don't give a damn, because otherwise they would have overturned this. Renationalised water immediately. It should happen immediately. But we keep on electing people, civil servants on final salary pension schemes that we're paying for, and they have no balls at all. So hopefully one day we might wake up to that and start electing real people who have real experiences of life, of suffering, of pain, of understanding, and not university students who got a job working for the Conservative Party as an advisor when they left uni, and like David Cameron actually, and that's how he became MP. He became a member of Parliament at 27. He'd never had a job other than working for the Conservative Party. Do me a favour, right? It's ridiculous, but these are the people we elect. And I think it sums up the state of the country. You know, do you know about Norway and the United Kingdom? Do you know about the Norwegian Sovereign Fund? Crazy, the story. This is crazy. So mid-70s, Norway and the UK roughly the same size GDP. We're obviously a much bigger country. But Norway decided that their natural resources, they were going to tax at source at 75%. So they would hold like auctions for areas, and then as soon as people start extracting oil or gases, they pay tax at the source at 75%. Now, in the UK, we did it completely differently. We introduced trickle-down economics, which is give these companies tax breaks and rich people tax breaks and hope they spend more money, which trickles down through the economy. And it didn't work because rich people don't spend money. They hoard it offshore. And that's what's happened to our country. So we now have a national debt of 3 trillion. And Norway has a national fund worth 3 trillion, and they didn't privatise anything either. They still own everything, and they've got a £3 trillion wealth fund, which I think is worth about £250,000 to every Norwegian citizen, and we're 3 trillion in debt, and we own nothing anymore. But the people that sold all that stuff did really well out of it. They did really well out of it. And I think that's something that needs to be spoken about as well, because in my opinion, there should be a national inquiry as to what's happened to Norway and what's happened to the United Kingdom and what. That's what we should be talking about, in my opinion. But instead, we're too busy watching celebrities dancing on us. But they're good, though. They're good dancers.
Yeah, but people are doing that for their own means to ends.
I'm joking. I've never seen it in my life, mate. I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic. I do apologize.
But I think the one that sticks out to me that you did on, you know, getting people to realize water was the Radio 2 interview you did.
I always drink water out of a wine glass. I'll only drink out of a wine glass. I've seen the Chris Evans one that we did with Virgin as well, because that was a fun one. And people's reactions are shocking. It's like I get to do magic tricks for people. But it isn't magic. It's just what I think happens as well in a world of highly addictive processed foods of extreme flavors, right? So extremely salty, extremely sweet, extremely bitter, extremely chilly. So our taste buds now crave extreme. That's what we've been trained to do. So when it comes to tasting delicate, we haven't got a clue. We have not got a clue how to taste delicate. We've forgotten because we've been so conditioned with these extreme flavors. So it's just a case of retraining the tongue and the brain to understand that when we're tasting delicate, where you're going to taste it, what you're going to taste, and what might it taste like, because we do perceive taste differently. But where we taste is the same. The sides and the back of the tongue. Sometimes with waters, you don't taste it till you swallowed it. You think like, wow, that's got an aftertaste. That's got a little kick. I didn't notice that. And that's when it comes to life. And when it comes to life, it's like another dimension opens up, because it was there the whole time. And because we were trained to ignore it, it's just water, isn't it? And then when you start learning and understand like you, and then you're like, wow, this beautiful world of natural water comes to life. And now you fall in love with it because now you understand.
I think people closest to me probably think I'm odd to a certain extent at times. I'm very, very analytical, maybe too much sometimes, and that's where overthinking can take hold. But if I want to deep dive in something, I'd probably go in head first. It's a complex topic to be able to kind of go.
Shockingly complicated. Shockingly.
Because how you and I would not perceive the water, but how, based on our own taste palates, would then say, "Oh, I don't like this one. I do like this one."
This is where I've gone. I've never drunk alcohol. I've never used to drink fizzy drink. I've always been super careful about what I eat and what I put in my body. So my taste buds are super sensitive, and I know that now because when I do water tastings, you can see I'm picking up on things that people are struggling with. But that's normal because as we grow older, the taste buds wear. And if we're drinking curries and chilies and smoking and drinking booze, it has an impact on those taste buds. Whereas I've been quite lucky because I've been into health and fitness, I think it's probably preserved my taste buds. So now I can taste things and I love it. And I can taste things sometimes that people can't. And I'm like, well, that's really annoying. They can't taste that. And then sometimes I do it with families, right? And the adults haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, but the children can taste what I'm tasting. They can taste it. And I'm like, thank God for that. Thank God, they're there. I'm vindicated.
Is that what you're referring
it's
to?
Flavour. No, so it's flavour. So calcium, magnesium taste differently. Sodium tastes differently. So really there are 4 flavours with water: neutral, so salty, bitter, or slightly sweet. And then you get combinations of them, of how they combine. So as an example, Vichy Celestine, 3,300 TDS, more TDS than Vichy Catalan, more sodium than Vichy Catalan, but also has an incredible amount of calcium in it. So it's now, and you're like, what the fuck? First time I tried that, and then we fell off my chair. I'm like, you what? You want your water? Fuck. What are you talking about? It's got a flavour. It's sweet. What are you talking about? Water. And that's part of falling in love with it.
That would make it exciting to a certain extent.
I love it. And people go, really, you're so passionate about it. And I'm like, well, because I love it, because it's amazing. How can you not love it? How can you not be fascinated by this? How can you not be interested? I love it. So because I only do things that I love, I am passionate, because otherwise I don't waste my time.
An obsession in a good way, because obviously
yeah,
that's
no, it's
how
my
you
hobby,
get good
it's
at
my
something.
life, my business. And this is the thing, when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. You never work a day in your life when you love what you do. I work 7 days a week. I work all through the night. I love it. I love what I do. I don't want a day off. I've had 3 weeks off in 9 years. I hate holidays. I hate going away. I hate having to fucking sit around and pretend we're having a good time. Yeah, great playing with the kids in the pool. I love it. We do that whenever we can. But I don't need to go away for a week and sit in the sun and sweat. It's flipping hot enough here these days. So don't need any flipping holidays. I need to go somewhere cooler than here. There's no point in going anywhere hotter than here because we're all suffering here. This is the beautiful thing about the hot weather. You don't need to go away anymore.
No, but could you not use it as like a research trip?
I'm business. I love what I do. Yeah, I'm business. I love nuts and bolts. I love spreadsheets. I love losing myself in stuff. I love being here working. I don't like going around and pretend working, right? Pretend. There's different levels of pretend working, but a lot of my work now really is online, is creating content and just creating content, because the operation itself of putting water in a bottle, well, it's not rocket science. But the tricky bit is getting people engaged and selling water. Putting water in a container is easy. Selling it is not so easy. And that's something we're doing really well, because up until we came along, all the other brands were just arguing who's the best. And I've come along and gone, hang on, they're all the best. You just need to understand what is the best, and within the and that's it. All I've done is just kind of highlight what's going on in the industry. And now I get brands from all over the world sending me waters, asking me to do videos with their waters, and I'm like, yeah, I love it, because I love natural water. I can't think of another industry where you would give a competitor your product and they would go and promote it for you. And that's what I do. I promote other people's water.
I mean, from a taste perspective, not.
If it's natural, there are waters that I've promoted I don't like, but they're natural water. It's premium category water. I don't like Ice Valley. I don't like lots of waters. I've got a video this morning, 3 waters I don't like. Perrier, I can't remember. Perrier, Ice Valley. I can't remember what the other one is. But yeah, it's, just because it's natural doesn't mean I'm going to like it.
So my final question to you then today, Doran, before we wrap up, what would you like to impart to the audience for them to take away?
Fall in love with water, it'll change your life, and what comes out the tap ain't tap, it's crap. Shouldn't even be called water. Shouldn't even be called it, because water a bad name. You're not falling in love with that shite. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. I would urge everybody as well to have a look at the Karolinska Institute report 2023, 60,000 cohort in Sweden, identifying long-term health risks of men drinking chlorinated water and what it does to colorectal and bladder cancer. The numbers are absolutely staggering. We don't hear about this. Why? I don't know. Maybe we're more profitable when we're poorly. I don't know. Maybe that's the game, which I'm convinced it is. So that's the situation. Fall in love. Learn about water. Fall in love. The quality of the water we put in the being that's made of water has an impact on that being on so many different levels, and it can change your life in a really positive way. That would be my.
So, Doran, once again, thanks for coming on the Mindset Athlete podcast.
Thank you, mate. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Been my pleasure.